Hello again. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you are, whatever time it is good. And I am excited to be back here in the space to bring a new sermon series and to take this wonderful adventure with each and every one of you for the remainder of this month with our series Dream Again. But of course, we are going to begin with a centering prayer. And so I invite you here and now to just take a breath in and exhale and repeat after me. I welcome the Spirit of truth into my mind and let it grow in my heart. Thank you, God, in me, through me, and as me. Amen. Ashe. And so it is. Well, we began this year, 2024, with the series, My Biggest Dream. That was in January of 2024, powerful series. And in that series, I reminded you that you can be, do, and have anything. Anything? Anything. Also in that series, I gave you an easy formula, an easy process that comes from the book, It Works by RHJ. Write down what you want. Read the list daily, morning, noon, and night. Edit and revise the list as you go along. Speak to no one about this except the higher power within you. To support you in sticking to this new habit, I invited you all to sign up to receive reminders for 30 days via text so that would remind you to read your list morning, noon, and night. And 100 people signed up, which was really wonderful. That was my desire. That was the thought I had. And that's exactly what happened. And even as we streamed the series last Sunday, the entire series, more people signed up. And so it's wonderful to see and know that so many of you were inspired by that series. So many of you were excited about writing this list and reading it morning, noon, and night and beginning the process. And I know that many of you have crossed off things off of your list. Some of you have crossed everything off your list. Some of you, it has just inspired so many wonderful things. And I love that. And so in this moment is a time for one of my favorite memes. I got to use the other hand. One of my favorite memes here, Willy Wonka meme. How's it going? Just check in real quick, right? You may have started the list. You may have started the process. You may have experienced some things and received some things on your list, or none at all, or things have changed, right? And again, I've heard from some of you, but just a quick check in. How's it going? If you started the process, how's it going? Now, I realize that some of you are hearing about this for the very first time, and it might already excite you, right? You might have not watched or heard about the My Biggest Dream series. And I invite you, even now, to stop this stream and go to that series. Go and watch those 4 messages, tap into everything that I shared and taught in that series, and then come back here. You can watch this later today or later in the week. Some of you started out strong, but never made it through the 30 days. Some even opted out of the reminders before the 30 days ended. That's how I know, right? That some of you stopped and started and didn't even make it through the 30 days, right? Some of you stayed in the list, but you just ignored the reminders. Some unknowingly were using their personal willpower to make it happen and manifest their biggest dream. And so your willpower, it always runs out. That's the difference of motivation versus inspiration, right? What Pastor Yolanda and I do, we point you back to the God in you, right? The daily prayer is, let me be a channel to help people help themselves, not to motivate people. Please don't ever call me a motivational speaker. I'm not trying to motivate you, but what I am seeking to do is inspire you, understanding that the root of that word, inspire, means God breathed, right? I'm pointing you back to God in you. And so some of you tried to use your willpower instead of your God power, and you got lost in the sauce. Some of you got distracted. You got distracted by circumstances and experiences in your life that took your attention away from your goals and your dreams. Some of you were not aware of how deeply ingrained your old habits were and did not properly set yourself up to win. Now, in the My Biggest Dream series, that's one of the reasons why I dedicated a sermon to the science of habits. the science of how habits are formed and how we can form new habits and what is needed to break old habits and what's needed to form new ones. I talked about the idea of fighting habits with habits. So you might want to revisit that sermon. That was Your God Agrees With You, I believe week 3. Now, no matter which of these categories you may find yourself, or maybe there's another category that I did not mention, today is a new day. That's why this series is entitled Dream Again. This moment is a new opportunity to plant seeds of hope and possibility. This moment is a new opportunity to create a new foundation. This moment is a new opportunity to be, do, and have the life that you desired. I'm remembering there's a song that I wrote, and I put it on my first album, but I wrote it when I was much younger. One moment. In one moment, life can change. In one moment, there's tomorrow. One moment comes and fills this empty space. So this is a new moment. And sitting firmly in this new moment, I'm reminded of a quote from Reverend Ike that I love. You've heard me quote it many times in our series in February, The Gospel According to Reverend Ike. I definitely quoted it, where he says, the more you learn to work your mind, the less you have to work your behind. If you never heard that again, I want to just share it again because it's so good. The more you learn to work your mind, the less you have to work your behind. And so I'm speaking today from the topic, work your mind. Now, the first thing, and I'm going to be getting up in your business today, so just be ready. But the first thing I think that's important when we think about this idea of working your mind instead of working your behind, see, some of y'all still think this thing is magic. Some of you were excited because you thought, oh, wow, it's 2024, it's the new year, and PG is giving me a magic formula so I can manifest anything in 2024. And that was true to a point. You can manifest anything in 2024 still, right? That's true. You can be, do, or have anything. That's still true. But your manifestations and demonstrations, while they might feel like magic, what you have to truly understand is that when you've learned to work your mind, you'll know that it ain't magic. What I will always teach you is how to help yourself. What I will always teach you is how to work your mind. It ain't magic. It's law. It works according to a specific process, and life is responding to you according to how you make use of the process. And what we get to do in this life experience is practice so that we understand how it works and continue to work it in that manner. Some of you are still living in your spiritual closet, afraid not just to tell others what you believe or practice, which, by the way, is never required, but because you're afraid, that fear is holding you back from fully believing and practicing these principles. And so you fell off the wagon. And so you read for a couple weeks, a couple days, a couple months, but then you couldn't keep it going. Why? Because you're afraid of the power that lives within you. Again, that might manifest as I'm not telling other people that I'm watching CSC. That might manifest as I'm not telling other people that I'm taking classes at CSC. That might manifest as I'm not telling people that I'm New Thought or I'm studying and practicing metaphysics. But what you are doing in the process is withholding from yourself. Some of you have not learned yet how God in you communicates. If you can't see it, touch it, taste it, or smell it, you don't believe it. God communicates beyond the 5 sense world, and that world is actually the world that creates what we see, taste, touch, and smell and hear. That world is the world of cause. That world is the world of power, and you can only access the world of cause through your mind. That's why we got to work our minds. Some of you have followed the steps, but canceled all of your mental work as soon as you started listening to or liking on social media any number of the relationship podcasts that are rooted in fear and foolishness, but writing down that you want a relationship, that you want a lover, that you want a beautiful romantic partner, that you want all these things. And there's so much foolishness out here about relationships that's creating division and separation. So you're canceling all the mental work that you've done. And so reading that list morning, noon, and night is not even helpful. For some of you, you're fixated on how seemingly bad the economy is while writing that you want more money, more wealth, more riches. Lord have mercy. I said I'm going to get in your business today. Some of you followed the steps and may be followed the steps and may still be following the steps. But at the same time, you're holding on to resentments, grudges, anger, and unforgiveness. Don't worry, we're going to talk about that next week. That has to be a whole sermon unto itself. Working your mind is a completely different way of living. So you have a choice. And you can make the choice today. Am I going to work my mind or am I going to work my behind? And the thing is, most people are vacillating between the two. That's why I talked about this idea of people living in their spiritual closet. Because you're over here 1 minute thinking, reading, and practicing things that are related to working your mind. And then you're over here in the next minute, moment, or day, or week, reading, practicing, and ingesting things that really is rooted in working your behind. And see, this is the symbol that we have of the Garden of Eden. When we take that biblical story and strip away all the foolishness and all the humanness and all of the misinformation and disinformation, the Garden of Eden is a symbol of the place where you work your mind. The garden is the kingdom of heaven. The garden is the realm of everlasting good. And so symbolically, getting kicked out of the garden is then to live according to the rules of working your behind. That's the only reason that it's written in the story that there was a curse. Because as soon as you believe that there's something wrong with you, as soon as you step outside of the Garden of Eden, the realm of everlasting good, as soon as you step out of the place where the tree of life is, where life itself is, then you're going to have to work your behind. And here's the thing. That path can work, right? Yes, there's a lot you can achieve by working your behind. Many people out here in the world are celebrated. They didn't work their minds. And yes, there's a lot that you can achieve through quote unquote hard work, through the sweat of your brow, but there is always unintended consequences as a result of that way of being and that way of living. It will always lead to burnout. It will always lead to sickness and dis-ease. It will always lead to ultimately feeling unfulfilled. And so even as you reflect on the past months of this year, you can tell very clearly if you've been working your mind or working your behind based on the outcome of how you feel on the other side. You may have good intentions. The road to destruction is paved with good intentions, right? Your intentions may have been good, absolutely. I don't doubt that. But you look at the outcome, you look at the impact, and it's clear. Oh, wait, there's no way that I could have been working my mind. If working my mind leads me to the realm of everlasting good, right? If working my mind, the only outcomes can be good, ease, grace, as we read the reading about grace today in our opening prayer, right? Understanding that's what working my mind is, that even in the midst of challenges, there's something beautiful that happens. I was reading something this summer that I thought was powerful as a wonderful litmus test, that if we're living according to this idea that I'm talking about today of working your mind, and you're guided by God in you, you're guided by this beautiful intelligence within you, that you're following the hunches, you're following the nudges, and you get flashes of insight and you just move forward, and you just have this clarity because you're operating and now communicating with God in you. Doesn't mean that you won't have challenges. But when the challenge comes up, how easily are you able to move through it? How easily are you able to still hold your center in the midst of it? And then when the next challenge comes, is the challenge new or is it a repeat of the old challenge? See, because then you start to understand something powerful about what's going on. This is how you can tell if you're working your mind or working your behind. That if you're working your mind, there is a sense of flow. There's a sense of ease that starts to come. And even as the challenges come, even as the opportunities come, or as one of my colleagues used to call them, chopportunities. They're both a challenge and an opportunity. Even as they show up, there's a sense of confidence. There's a sense of well-being. There's a sense of, I know how to move through this because I'm connected to the source of all knowledge. But if you find yourself in this place of like, oh, Lord, I can't believe this is happening to me again, or how much more can I take? And you've probably been working your behind the whole time. And so, again, as I said, this is one of the ways that you can truly tell if you've been working your mind or you're behind. When I talk about working your mind, I'm not saying use your brain. Your mind, capital M, is your connection to the all that is. Your mind is God in you. Your mind is eternal, universal, infinite, and unlimited. Remember we talked about that in My Biggest Dream series? Infinite, unlimited, omnipotent power dwells within you. Your mind is your connection to anything you need to know. Your mind is the healer within you. Your mind is your prospering power. But again, you must choose to work your mind. No one will force you. No one can force you. I can only point you in the direction. Now, to those who have lost motivation, those who were working only from motivation and it wore off, to those who started out strong but got distracted, to those who completely forgot about this whole process after a few days, weeks, or months, I say to you, get back up again. There's a spiritual principle that I love and we teach so often, that God does not forgive, because God does not condemn. There's no condemnation. Does not matter the reason, whatever happened, it does not matter. It does not need to be explained. It does not need to be justified. All is forgiven in truth because there was never any condemnation. Take a breath. Breathe that in for those that need to. I know some of you, feelings of shame and guilt may have started to rise up as you heard me speaking. And although that wasn't the energy by which I'm sharing, I get it, right? Take a breath. There's no condemnation. All is forgiven because there's no condemnation. And so lovingly, life is saying to you now, get back up again. You are not bad. You are not wrong. And so you can go to the previous series if you want to rewatch it, or if you already have a list and started it, you can just recommit yourself to the process. Go back to your list and start reading it again this afternoon and this evening. And then tomorrow morning, begin with your morning reading and go on and on and on. If you did not put reminders in your calendars or in your schedule, by all means, do that. See, your dreams and your goals are waiting for your attention. They're always right there. The potential for them are always right there, no matter who you are, no matter where you are, no matter how old or young you are. Your dreams are simply waiting for your attention. And whatever you were paying attention to before, unless it has attracted the life you say you want, I think you now have enough information to know that you no longer want to give those things your attention. It's kind of like being in a romantic relationship. You could ask the question, are you thriving, growing, and becoming more of yourself in the relationship? Or are you shrinking, dimming, contorting yourself into being what you think the other person needs? And if it's the latter, then you know that's not the right relationship. You know that you're not putting your attention on the things that you truly want, that you truly desire. Your goals and your dreams are waiting for your attention. You may not have thought about it that way. You may not have heard it that way before. And so as you get back up again, take inventory of the mental relationships you've unconsciously placed in front of the life you say you want, the life that you have imagined, the desires, the goals, the dreams that you wrote down back in January, because those dreams and goals are waiting for your attention. Those dreams and goals, they want to be in relationship with you. Those dreams and goals, they want to be your boo. Those dreams and goals want to do all the things that support you in feeling love and being your best self at all times. And so my last point is something that I've taught many times, and I think it's important to frame it in the context of this moment and this series. Now, we know the principle that power flows where attention goes. Yes, yes? We know that, as I love to say, God is paying attention to what you're paying attention to. Now, when I say that, that does not mean that God is like the the traditional problematic, incorrect view of God, that God is kind of looking down from the sky and concerned about the daily affairs of our lives and judging us and taking things away from us and blessing other people and all. That's not what I'm saying when I say God is paying attention to what you're paying attention to, right? Imagine you had an unlimited supply of money. And wherever you pointed that supply, it would flow and flow and flow in that direction until you moved it somewhere else. And whomever and wherever you pointed that flow, that supply of money, would become extremely wealthy and powerful because they would now have the funds to advance their cause or their agenda. Now, if you had that type of power, you would be very cautious and careful about where you pointed that money supply. You wouldn't just randomly let it flow anywhere. You wouldn't put it on automatic and let it flow from side to side like an oscillating fan. Just, well, wherever it goes, it's fine. And you definitely wouldn't point it in the direction of anything or anyone that you know causes harm or intends to cause harm. Sadly, this is exactly what many people do with their mind. But you may be thinking, PG, that is hard, and that's a lot of responsibility. You mean I have to always be thinking about where I'm putting my attention? Take a breath. As you build the habit, it will become easy. And as you build the habit, it will become automatic. It's kind of like the difference between when you first started driving or learning to drive versus being an experienced driver today. There are so many things that a driver needs to be aware of or focused on, but as an experienced driver, it's easy and automatic. You're not even consciously thinking about it. I get tickled sometimes thinking about when I was first learning to drive, and even after I got my license, right, passed the test. But there are moments when I'd be out on the road, I have to turn the radio down because it was a distraction. Like I needed to focus. There were too many things going on. There's all these cars. I'm on the highway. I have to pay attention to this sign. I have to pay attention to that sign. I'm trying to get over in this lane. I don't want to miss my exit, right? All of these things that are happening, that in that moment, I was like, I need to be hyper aware. I can't have any distractions. And that's what we have to do on this metaphysical path initially, right? We're going to talk about removing distractions this month. But that's one of the reasons why you might want to minimize while you're watching TV, at least initially, in the same way that you probably, as an inexperienced driver, had to turn down the radio. Or if it was raining too hard, you would turn down the radio. I know I'm not the only person, right? My sister and I laugh about that stuff all the time. So it is on this path. And so one of the ways that you can begin to develop the habit of keeping the focus of attention on what it is that you want is to understand the thing under the thing. I know this is familiar to many of you, right? I've been teaching this for a long time, and definitely if you've taken classes with me, you know about the thing under the thing. So I'm reminding you of the thing under the thing and supporting you in using it intentionally and specifically to keep the focus of your attention where you want it. So what is the thing under the thing all about? The truth is, whatever is on your list, whatever it is that you desired you want to be, do, or have, whatever your goals are, whatever your dreams are, there's an underlying reason behind why you want to be, do, or have any of those things. And so in truth, what you are actually seeking to manifest is not the thing or the experience, but it is that experience, feeling, or thing, or what it provides underneath it. And when you're clear about what that thing provides or how it will change, enhance, or expand your life, you understand that that's really what you're seeking. Let's take an example of a new home. And I'm sure many of you have a new home on your list, right? A new home may represent for you safety and security. That might be why you want a new home. You want to move to a different neighborhood, right? That's safer. Or you may want to move to a place that's more secure. You may want to move to a different type of building, right? You may want to move to a different city. A new home may represent comfort for you. Right? A new home may represent, as I thought about myself, I think about family and family gatherings, or I think about having, parties or other gatherings, right? And so a larger space, a larger home represents that for me when I think about that. And so that's what I'm really after. And it's important to understand that, because if we don't understand what we're really after, what the thing under the thing is, then we give the people, places, and manifestations the power. We think that the home has the power and the home is what makes me happy, right? We think that the person, the relationship is the person that makes me happy. We think that the car or the job is the thing that makes me happy. But we understand that what we're really after is something underneath it. And then we understand that we can access that in a zillion different ways. And so then we no longer limit God in some finite way, because there are people and places and things that you're not aware of that source can bring to you and give you the actual thing that you're after. So what we're getting at is why you want the thing or experience and what the thing or experience will provide. I want you to hear that again. The thing under the thing, why you want the thing or experience, and what the thing or experience will provide. So this is a powerful exercise. You can take a piece of paper and just write up at the top, thinking about one of the things on your list. Here are the reasons why I want fill in the blank. Here are the reasons why I want a romantic partner. Here are the reasons why I want a new home. Here's the reasons why I want to move to Atlanta. Here are the reasons why I want a vacation home on some island, right? Here are the reasons why I want, right? A husband, a wife, a partner, a new home, all these things. I want to live in a new city. Here are the reasons why I want more travel, to travel the world, more money. Here are the reasons why I want to heal my body. The what and the why are your thing under the thing. And in truth, this is what you are actually manifesting, not the thing on your list. Look at your list and identify your thing under the thing. In the middle of this year, I did that. I was like, oh, right, I need to simplify this, because my list is wonderful and it's long. But it's like, Greg, what is it that you're really after? What is the feeling tone? What is your what and your why? And I simplified it to something very simple. I don't read through the whole list every day. But what I do read is my thing under the thing. What am I after? Ease, calm confidence, worry-free living, all my needs met, lavish abundance, and radiant health. And so, yeah, I have goals around home. I have goals around family. I have goals around travel. I have goals around business. I have goals around money and health. It's a long list. But in truth, my thing under the thing that I'm clear about, what I'm actually manifesting, is ease, calm confidence, worry-free living, all my needs met, lavish abundance, and radiant health. And so that is where my mental work is. That's where I put the focus of my attention. And so here's another thing. See, once you know your thing under the thing, then you will accurately be able to identify your manifestations and demonstrations. Because, see, some of you think that this thing didn't work. I know RHJ said it works. Maybe it works for special people. Maybe it works for people that are, have a deeper mind than me, or been studying these teachings longer, or whatever it may be, right? None of that's true. You may not be able to identify the demonstrations and manifestations because you didn't understand the thing of the thing. So what do I mean? As some of you stopped working your mind because you didn't think you were getting results, as some of you stopped working your mind because you weren't seeing anything on the list, if you go back to the list today and identify the thing under the thing, I can guarantee, I wrote that in all caps here in my notes, that you actually manifested what was behind the goals, the dreams, and the desires. And why is this important? It's important because once you can clearly identify that the work is working, you will do what? Keep working it. No farmer or gardener would continue to keep tilling the soil and planting seeds and removing weeds and all of the stuff that you have to do if there was no evidence of growth. At the same time, a farmer or gardener wouldn't look at the first tender sprouts and say, I planted cucumbers. This isn't a cucumber. I quit. But see, that's what many of you have been doing with your list. No, a sprout is not a cucumber, but the sprout is the beginning of the cucumber, because a cucumber doesn't manifest as a cucumber. It first manifests as a seed that breaks open in the unseen and then eventually breaks through the ground as a little sprout, not as a full, whole grown cucumber. Y'all out here looking for full grown cucumbers and don't understand the process. And so your thing under the thing is like those sprouts. If you look back over your year, can you identify the sprouts? The sprouts that you judged, the sprouts that you stepped on, the sprouts that you ignored, the sprouts that you didn't water and nourish, because if the sprout exists, you know inevitably it will become a full-grown plant that will not just manifest one cucumber, but will manifest multiple cucumbers with seeds, and then you can plant those seeds all over again, season after season. The scripture says, like a tree planted by the rivers of water, it yields its fruit in season and out of season. I trust this is helping somebody today. I said I'm getting in your business, but this is in a beautiful way. You may not have realized that you were stepping on the sprouts. You may not have realized that because you were looking for the full-grown cucumber, you didn't acknowledge the sprouts. And so this is exactly how many of y'all are treating the creative process of manifestation. Celebrate the new, tender sprouts, and then keep working your mind. Keep working it. So in closing, we understand now what working our mind is. We understand that we have the opportunity to get back up again, and we understand the power behind this principle of the thing under the thing. So you have an assignment. You have a mission if you choose to accept it. There are two paths. One leads to unending joy and fulfillment. The other leads to burnout, sickness, and ultimately an unfulfilled life. It does not matter why you stopped working your mind and working this process. It only matters that you forgive yourself, set yourself free, and get back up again. Finally, you must learn to identify the thing under the thing. That is what you're actually manifesting. This will support you in being clear about what you're actually after, and this will support you in not giving power to people and things. Now, I have so much more to share with you this month. I'm excited about this series, Dream Again. We're going to talk about forgiveness and releasing steps, as I shared earlier. We're going to talk about visualization. I have a wonderful acronym that I learned this summer, SPEC. Select, project, expect, and collect. Right? We're going to talk about divine coincidences and understanding even more how God communicates in, through, and as you, right? Because God doesn't have vocal cords, right? But how do we tap into that vibration? We're going to talk about removing distractions and a whole lot more things. Bring your questions next week to the God Talk so that PY and I can support you in fully living out these principles, so that you can ask any questions that you have, clarifying questions, so that you can make this thing real in your life. And with that, to this truth that has been spoken, I say, amen, ashe, and so it is. Thank you, God. So it is.